We have a good one for you guys today here on Redbirds on the Arch. First, we're going to go over some news and rumors that came about this past weekend regarding Brendan Donovan. The crew and I gave you our opinions on what we think will happen and if he'll be traded or not, or whether he'll be a Cardinal headed into 2026. There's also some old news the crew and I have to discuss with you guys here on Redbirds on the Arch. That first part's going to be the Nolan Arenado trade. He was sent to the Arizona Diamondbacks. We give you some thoughts on what this means for the Cardinals and what this means for the future of the organization. We'll then go into the Ryan Stanek signing. What does that mean for the bullpen? What kind of value does he bring to the team? Most importantly, will there be any value for him at the trade deadline in 2026? Next, we'll go into the hiring of Yadier Molina as the special assistant to the player baseball operations, Chaim Bloom. That's a position he's been in for about the last year, and he'll be back in that position once again. Lastly, Farmhands and I are very excited to go over the top 100 prospect list from both MLB Pipeline and Baseball America. We mostly go over MLB Pipeline, and we talk about the Cardinals that made these top 100 lists. Again, thank you guys for tuning into today, and we hope you enjoy this one. Welcome back to Redbirds on the Arch. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're really excited about this episode. We'll give you a rundown in the intro, so you probably already know what it is. But let's get started off with a banger today. So there have been a lot of talks regarding other teams and maybe their interest in Brendan Donovan. There was a big article that came out on The Athletic where the Giants were heavily pursuing C.J. Abrams. It was reported they even offered Joswar Gonzalez, a prospect some people like, possibly some other teams don't like. So right now, Cardinals fans kind of feel like, where's this Donovan trade idea going? Does it seem like he's going to be staying as a Cardinal for the start of 2026? Or is there still a chance he could be dealt in a week? Let's start off with Farmhands. I know him and I have been pretty much on top of this, and we've been going back and forth on, yeah, he's out of here, or no, he's staying. So let's see where Farmhands is sitting.
I don't know. It's just such a dragged out, long situation that we thought was probably going to be resolved, around the winter warm up, and then it's not winter warm up, around the winter meetings back in December, and it has kind of dragged on all the way here till the end of January. You know, I felt very confident he was going to be traded right when the rumors came out right at the beginning of the offseason, and especially as it started to heat up. But, with every passing day, I do feel like the chance of him being a Cardinal, at least to start 2026 is very likely. I think you've seen the market develop for him, and I felt like Chaim Bloom has played it up, played his chips really well in the Donovan market up till this point. But right before we started recording here, Harrison Bader just signed with the San Francisco Giants. Not quite sure how that affects their pursuit of a second baseman. Maybe they could still trade for Donovan. Maybe that knocks him out. But we're starting to get to the point where the chips might start falling the other way here very soon if Bloom decides not to pull a trigger.
For sure. Obviously, there have been multiple teams interested in Donovan. The Mariners seem like the favorites. Cardinals fans want a deal done with the Mariners. I don't think the Red Sox are out of the picture. I think there's still a possibility that the Red Sox could chime in once again with Chaim Bloom and the St. Louis Cardinals. Out of all the teams that you feel like are left farm hands, who's the one that you kind of have circled that you feel like might be the team to make that push at the end to acquire Donovan?
Well, based on recent weeks, I kind of thought it was going to be the San Francisco Giants. We'd heard a ton of rumors around them the last 10 days. Jeff Passan had a tweet about them being very aggressive in the second base market, a week or two ago. And then obviously the Joswar Gonzalez rumor with C.J. Abrams kind of like, yeah, they really want a second baseman. But it looks like they've decided to kind of go the outfield route instead of the second base route with paying at least the money. I'm not sure quite what happens there. But I thought it was going to be the Giants. It still definitely could be the Giants. All offseason, I've kind of got like the itch that it might be the Mariners. I think the Mariners have been the most linked, and obviously the one that the Cardinals fans want the most. But they've also kind of seemed to be a little stingy on what they're willing to give up, and they've kind of seemed to hold their ground and not really give up, more than what they're truly willing to give up and not meet the Cardinals, where the Cardinals went. So I'm not quite sure there. So um, I think the Mariners at this point are probably still the most likely, even with them, holding their ground more lately.
Yeah, I could agree with that. TZ, what are your thoughts on Brendan Donovan, and same second part for you? What team feels like the most realistic at this point if a trade is made?
Well, he did say the Mariners, and you got to remember they were also what like one win away from going to the ALCS. Stuff like that leaves a team and an ownership very hungry for to upgrade. So I do think they're kind of like the top team to still go after Donovan. Another team they're not really talked about is I like the Royals still. I feel like that's a team that needs to take the next step. So maybe that's a team that could jump in on Donovan too. I mean, there's been talk about Rays, but I don't really. I'm still hesitant on the Rays just because I know how they run. They usually trade away players like Donovan, not trade for players like Donovan. So, and then yeah, the Giants thing. Harrison Bader was signed. I don't know if Farmhands just said this while we're recording, but he said it before that they could be interested in Luis Arias. So maybe that takes him out of Donovan. Like Farmhands at the start of the off season, I was pretty sure that Donovan was not going to be here. Now I'm leaning more 50-50, but I think I'm still a little bit above, above 50. Like I think he's going to get traded, but it's getting lower and lower every day for sure.
I'll ask you this question, Aiden. Do you think there's a deadline? I know you've kind of expressed that you think that there's some sort of deadline. Obviously, Bloom talked the other day about spring training, not wanting this to hang into spring training. But so, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I said a couple weeks ago to Farmhands in our group chat, or maybe we were just DMing one on one, and I remember telling Farmhands that I feel like the deadline for Donovan being moved has to be February 1st because pitchers start moving to Florida at least by February 12th. So they got to be there before that. Um, that was my personal deadline. Obviously, Hein Bloom talked on Sunday. I don't know if any of us have brought that up yet. But it seemed like he kind of was hinting at a deadline of some sort. I can't remember what he exactly said. I don't know if you remember Farmhands. He said something about like spring trainings coming around the corner, and we don't want that to be like a focus point and distract the team. We want the team to have full focus, so we could win as many games as possible. So we were talking about that in our group chat that it felt like he was saying there's a deadline without really saying there's a deadline.
He set a
It
deadline, and then he immediately went back and said,
Yeah,
"I don't like putting deadline on things, but here's a
yeah,
deadline, basically." So
yeah,
it was a confusing little tidbit there. He was like, "This is a deadline, but it's not a deadline." And it
yeah.
was like,
It was interesting. So obviously
Yeah,
this could be a last ditch moment where they're like, listen, we don't have to move Donovan, but obviously if we can, like we'd like to get some kind of value in return for him. So teams have to give us their best offer within this next week. Um, I'm kind of on board with you guys. I think the Mariners are the team that will likely get him if he is traded. I wouldn't say that if I didn't feel like they needed to make a move, and they only need to make a move because the Texas Rangers just acquired Mackenzie Gore not too long ago, who, while he hasn't had the ace capabilities yet, they're still there. Like the potential's still there. The Astros signed Imami, is that how you say it?
"Emi,
Imai.
Emi, yeah."
Um, I want to say they grabbed a couple other guys. I can't remember. But I mean, the competition in the AL West, like it's skyrocketed, and the Mariners haven't done anything. So I feel
mhm.
like it's their turn to make a move, and I
If
feel
anything,
like
they got
Donovan's that
worse.
perfect fit. Yeah. So
They haven't re-signed Suarez yet.
yeah, I mean, obviously, like I like prospects in the Mariners farm system. None of us know what the cutoff is. I know Farmhands and I like Michael Arroyo a lot. Um, we have mixed feelings on Girangelo. There are other guys in the system, that I like. Like, I wouldn't mind taking a chance on a guy like Corbin Dickerson. But I do like the Red Sox. I will say that. But there's only one guy I want, and that's Connolly Early. I will say I will live on that mountain for forever. I'm a huge Connolly Early fan. I think he's got all the potential in the world. I think he's a frontline starter.
Probably be a
But
one
we'll
for
see.
one.
Yeah, and I think that's fine because you're not looking for volume with Donovan. You're looking for
Quality over
talent.
quantity.
Yeah, you're looking for talent. And I think if you did a one for one, listen, if you had to give up Romero too, which I don't think they would have to, but if they did, like I wouldn't be that guy that'd be like, oh man, that's just way too much value going back for Connolly Early. Because what are you 1 year of Jojo Romero? Like we're really gonna just like hinder on that one point there.
In a rebuilding year too.
Yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I still think the Mariners are the favorite. Just I think I do prefer the Red Sox because if Donovan was moved to the Red Sox, you're getting above a 5 in terms of their prospects because Brandon Clark was 5. So that leaves you with Witherspoon at 4, Early at 3, Arias is number 2 now, I believe, and then Tolley 1. So we'll see what happens. We'll obviously we'll market the or we'll monitor the market, and if something happens, I'm sure we'll run some kind of space or something.
Live
So
stream or something.
yeah, we'll run something. So watch out for that. But all right, I think that's enough on Donovan. We've been talking about Donovan all off season long. Yeah, go ahead. If you got one more thing, go
One
for
more. We have to talk extension if they don't trade him, right? Like we have to at least mention this, right? Like if they don't end up trading him, do you think an extension gets done, or do you think it's a deadline thing? It can be a quick answer if you want it to be a quick answer. It can be a long answer.
I'm gonna say they're gonna try and move him at the trade deadline. If that doesn't happen, I think that's when extension talks really come full force.
It's
I
easy.
think if he's not traded by spring training, that's when extension talks start.
That's fair.
Almost like a Paul Goldschmidt thing.
Yeah, yeah. I could see either or. I honestly don't know. I don't know how serious the trade talks or the extension talks are. If they're, you know, just really a
Yeah.
preliminary. If they even exist. I really don't know. So, um,
What do you think it
hasn't
would be?
seemed like somewhere in the
Man,
16 to 20 range.
yeah,
I
Farmhands and
was
I
thinking
were
the
talking about
years.
that yesterday.
Oh,
I was thinking like you
5, 4.
wipe,
S-
yeah, wipe
Yeah,
these next 2 years and say it's 5.
yeah. I said 4 when I was talking to Farmhands, just because one, you buy out his last ARB deal, right? Plus 3 extra years, so he'll be a free agent by year 32 or 33 for Donovan.
Yeah, yeah. It would be depending how you structure it, right? Right. If you
Yeah,
sign to an extension, does it start this year, or since his salary's locked in this year, would it start next year?
yeah.
Because then
That
that would,
that's what I don't know,
yeah.
but
I'd say the possibilities of that are sub 10%, 10% at most
yeah,
right now. I
yeah,
still think I think a trade currently is like 40, maybe 50%, and then a trade at the deadlines, the other 40% or whatever,
yeah,
and then an extension's 10%. That would be kind of my breakdown right now.
for sure. I remember you saying 5 for 90. I think I said 4 for 80. I don't know
Yeah.
where you sit, TZ. Like, what do you think is
I'm trying to figure out a comparable contract. I was thinking 5 years and mid-teens, something like that.
Yeah. I think that's what
So
Farmhands deal is at.
so Edmund had a 5 year 74, which is 14.8 million. I think Edmund or Donovan's would be something close to that.
Maybe 5 for 80. That would be 16 mil AV. I feel like that's on the low
Yeah,
end, maybe. I was
yeah.
thinking more 17 to 18, which would get him at that 90.
Yeah.
So Who
We'll see.
knows?
Yeah,
There
I'll
there are
say
a lot of
5 year,
things that factor
80-ish.
into it. All right, is that all we got on Donovan? Like, is there any more? Because I feel like we've been talking about him for months now, which we have. It's been months.
Yeah, I think there's no more we can actually say. There's
Until something happens, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
everything that's been
So
said this all season is just like a complete circle.
Yeah, it kind of is.
speaking of money, um, Nolan Arenado and money go together in this
Yeah,
Nolan Arenado deal. Nolan Arenado is traded to the Arizona Diamondbacks, and $31 million was sent along with him. So the Arizona
yeah.
Diamondbacks only have to cover about $11 million, and the Cardinals get back right-handed pitcher Jack Martinez. Martinez, that's how you say it. It's not Martinez, it's Martinez, which is a guy who was drafted in the 8th round of the 2025 draft and hasn't debuted yet. What do you guys think about Arenado? Finally getting traded. Let's start with Arenado before we get to the Jack Martinez of it. What do you think about Arenado being traded and the money?
I mean, it needed to be done, right? Like, Mozeliak tried doing it last year, got shut down by two different teams, or one by Arenado when he was headed to Houston, and then Bregman signing with the Red Sox screwed Mozeliak too. But it was just funny because none of us heard anything about Arenado being dealt or trade rumors or anything like that. And I was sitting at work and Katie Wu was like, Nolan Arenado close to being a Diamondback. And I was like, what? Like, we've heard nothing all year. Like what do you mean all of a sudden like he's just being dealt?
Hmm.
Um so it's good for multiple reasons. One, you get younger, opens up a spot for possibly JJ Weatherholt or Nolan Gorman, one or the other.
Or
Um,
Donovan.
yeah, or Donovan. Um, but you also, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's good that they got rid of him. The money, it was a lot. I think we kind of figured it was going to be that much. I remember there was a big debate between the three of us earlier. Farmhams and I were like, dude, it's going to be like north of 25 million. And then I remember TZ was saying like it's going to be that 20 million range. But Farmhams and I knew like it wasn't going to be there because last year it was that 20 million range, and we were like, he was even worse. So now it's got to get even higher.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
And it seems like the Diamondbacks were one of the teams most willing to pitch in money. I mean,
yeah,
we heard the San Diego Padres were going to eat even less or wanted even less of the money to be eaten. So I mean,
yeah.
that would have been 35 plus probably. I'd imagine.
Yeah, there was another team though. I thought
The
that the
A's.
A's the A's were actually gonna eat more than what the Diamondbacks ate.
But Arenado
Um,
didn't want to go there.
yeah, but so we don't know any details like how much they were really gonna take of Arenado's contract.
Or what the
But yeah,
value would be. The
uh,
piece in
very
return.
little I doubt. But I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day, a deal that needed to be done.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Cheesy. I'll go to you next. What's the whole feeling on the situation?
I just don't understand the 31 million because, like you said, so they're on hook for 11 million. That's it.
Over two
Over
years.
two years. And we have talked about this, and we said Arenado was a free agent. This dude would probably get 1 year 15 or two for 20. It's kind of I think what we discussed.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how they had to eat that much more. Like I would have expected the D-backs to eat like 20 million instead of 11. But I will say 5 million of it is the Rockies still, so it's a little less
Yeah.
on our part.
It's like
Um,
26.
people, yeah, people always forget to mention that part and include that, but I mean, it's 5 million and a $31 million deal. Um, yeah, I just don't understand that. I understood the return, which don't they say college ball is comparable to like double A? Isn't that the saying? Or is it
Top end college ball is. They say it's double A, but I don't believe that anymore. I'd say it's more single A
okay? But
without the
I was
tags.
thinking that was kind of comparing I was comparing his stats to like if he was in double A.
Yeah.
But Oh well, we'll see what that dude turns out to be. I'm happy for Arenado. I thank him for his time here. Wish nothing but the best for him. A little confused on why he chose the D-backs over even the A's right now, because isn't their park right now pretty hitter friendly
So
too?
is Arizona. Arizona's
Yeah,
pretty hitter friendly.
yeah. I think
Well,
I'd
I mean, he's
rather
gonna
go
be.
with the A's,
Yeah,
but
I mean, they're in an easier division for sure. I mean, that NL West is brutal.
loaded. I think that might be why he kind of chose it too, because he's from California and he'll be playing the Dodgers, the Padres, the Giants, all California teams, and Arizona's decently close.
He also could have lived in California if he went to the A's.
Yeah, true. But
So
they're about to move to Vegas, but isn't that after his contract is up?
yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah,
it's probably after his contract is done.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think it's in 2 years.
yeah. So I guess
But
I'll give my opinion.
mm,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
keep it. You go. I was done.
I'll I'll give my opinion on the situation. I think it was the Cardinals were just put in a really tough spot, right? Like
Yeah.
the 31 million, they could have probably got, like TZ said, only 20 million of it. But those teams that were offering, to only pay, to pay him the other 20 were like the A's, these teams that knew they were kind of on the outside in, and to have any chance, they'd have to convince the Cardinals. And obviously a team like the A's couldn't convince Arenado to go there. So kind of put the Cardinals in a tough spot. Jack Martinez is kind of what you kind of expected from this deal, an eighth
Hmm.
rounder, probably a guy who is going to be a relief pitcher. It's kind of dealt with a little bit of walk issues, but struck out a lot of guys. Has a really weird delivery, a good changeup, which we know the Cardinals like. The Cardinals love their changeups, and he's got a really good changeup. So he's an interesting piece, and we'll see. We'll see what he ends up developing into. But um, yeah, I don't know.
I just can't believe he declined the Houston trade last off season. Like, I was thinking about it last off season. If I was him, I was like, man, Bregman leaving, Tucker getting traded, that would kind of scare me too. But I feel like he should have been more patient. Maybe like just left it on the burner, that trade, instead of just full on declining it and moving on.
Yeah,
Well, then
they
Houston
pivoted
probably would get him.
fast.
Yeah, they would have gotten impatient and
They pivoted to
Yeah,
Christian. Remember, they pivoted to like
yeah,
Christian Walker in like
yeah.
5 days or something like that. Like
hmm
they sped up their timeline pretty fast there. So
yeah, but who knows if they would have pivoted towards Walker if they did grab Arenado.
yeah,
They were gonna put
It,
Paredes or whatever at first.
well, they didn't have him.
Yeah,
Paredes was in Chicago before he was dealt in that Tucker deal. So I don't know if
I think he was
Paredes
traded
was
though
a
before
Cub
the
yet.
Arenado thing.
yeah. All the
I
Arenado
don't
stuff came
remember.
after the. Because if Tucker was still there, if they would have done their operations backwards and would have done the Arenado deal first and then the Tucker deal, Arenado would
Yeah,
have been in Houston.
that
Yeah.
too.
Okay. That would make
Yeah,
sense.
Houston
I
kind
just
of
couldn't
shot
remember.
themselves in the foot by trading
Yeah.
Tucker first, but I don't know. I think that would have been a great fit for him.
Well, coulda, woulda, shoulda. He's an
Now he's
Arizona
a
Diamondback.
Diamondback.
All right.
I
Well,
Good
wish him
luck to
luck.
him.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
good
We,
luck.
we all wish him luck. Obviously, it didn't pan out the way we wanted to in St. Louis, but it's
hmm
baseball. These things happen, and it's a business on one side, it's a business on the other side, but also, there's a common ground of human ability there.
Yep. Should we move on to a native St. Louian signing with the Cardinals?
Yeah,
Uh,
let's move to Ryan Stanek. Let's do it. I feel like all
Ryan's.
of this happened so long ago, and we're just now talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we've had
we had
special
the
guests.
great Hunter Dobbins interview last week,
True,
or we
true.
would have talked about this.
Very,
So
very good point.
thank you again, Hunter, for coming on and being our guest. It was an awesome interview.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was fun.
hopefully he comes back sometime.
All right, Ryan Stanek. Ryan Stanek. Let's get on with it. So, do y'all remember the deal? It was 1 year
Three
with
and a
like a
half.
Yeah, it was like 1 year, 3.5. I can't remember if there was an option or not.
There
There
was
Yeah,
an
might have
option,
been.
team option with, or no,
Yeah,
mutual or team option for 6.
yeah.
yeah,
Let's start with TZ on this one. I know you were talking a
yeah.
lot about Stanek when it happened, so let's get your
I
thoughts
really
first.
wanted Stanek like 2 years ago when he left Houston. That's when I really wanted him. I I uh I kind of wanted a veteran in the bullpen this year, but I didn't think they were gonna get one, so I'm a little surprised on the signing. But hopefully he hits. He's been a little down the past 2 years, but he's a guy that could bounce back, and he's got a very good fastball. So
Yeah,
I'm
what are your thoughts, farmhands? Oh, sorry, were you not
no,
done?
no, no, no,
So, we're cutting TZ off today on
Yeah, we
accident
are.
a few times.
no. I was
Sorry,
done.
TZ.
You guys were just
Uh,
staring at me.
Stanek. I'm not sure what to think about him. He's obviously kind of sucked these last few years. He hasn't been very good on the ERA department's kind of walked a lot of guys. The stuff's obviously there, which is why the Cardinals signed him. I mean, this is a guy who, if everything's figured out and is right with him, and he's throwing strikes consistently, he's going to be a guy who's a 3 ERA guy with more strikeouts than innings pitched pretty consistently, with a good arsenal. So we'll see. The Cardinals have had a lot of success with guys like this in recent years. Obviously, we got Andrew Kittredge, we had Phil Maton last year. So this is the type of profile they've been able to turn around in recent years. I'll be interested to see if they can do it again this year. And if nothing else, he'll be a solid relief option that in the mid part of the bullpen that can kind of just take 2 or 3 innings at a time. In the fifth or sixth inning with the ERA somewhere in the fours, more than likely. That's probably the floor with the ceiling of becoming a back end guy.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you on this, farmhands. Like, it's not a bad pickup by any means, but it doesn't move you in any kind of way. Obviously, the stuff there is good. I think the splitter needs a little bit of work. Obviously, the controls not great. He walks a ton of guys. I think last year was like, gosh, 11, maybe 12%. He's been like that his whole career, so I'm not going to say that he's going to be able to fix his control or his command because obviously the age he is and the way his career's kind of panned out, he's likely going to walk a lot of guys again. The biggest thing for him is he needs to suppress damage versus lefties. He was really good against lefties in 2022, likely because that splitter was a little bit better shaped. Probably maybe had some better control and command with it. And as the years have gone on, 2023, he got worse against lefties. 2024, he got even worse against lefties. And then 2025, once again, got worse against lefties. So if he can figure out how to attack lefties a little bit better, he's probably going to be a solid piece for your bullpen because he's got the numbers versus righties to be good. And who knows? Maybe he's like Dustin May. Maybe he's another piece you see in July or August, whenever the trade deadline is, and teams are like, "Yo, like we can use a dude like Stanek who can give us out in the postseason." So it could be a low floor, high ceiling deal. So we'll see what happens.
What's
That's
the next
that,
topic?
that's I think that's where we feel about Stanek. But next, we found out that the St. Louis Cardinals hired Yadier Molina as their special assistant to Chaim Bloom. Once again, Farmhams and I, it's a move we were not really moved by. Like, it's great to have him in the org, but like it just doesn't do anything for me.
Okay, TZ, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, we know you're a Yadi lover. Let's hear what you gotta say here. We're all Yadi lovers when it comes to him, but Farmhams
Yeah.
and I definitely have more questions about maybe coaching and managing styles.
I mean,
Yeah.
this move doesn't really do anything for us. It's the same role he was last year. except it sounds like he's going to be a little more active. Like, what did we see him last year? Like 3 times, and it was all towards the end of the season. I think we should be able to see him a little more consistently, like maybe every other weekend or at home. So would that be like once a month or at least, I'd say. So something like that. Um, it does nothing right now. I hope it does something in the future and like gets him to realize like a little more like what's the day to day is, and if he's willing to deal with all that, the day to day, the uh all the interviews and stuff, because that's his main problem. I know is he doesn't like doing all that interview stuff, and as the manager, you got to do that after every game. So I don't know how that's gonna go. Like maybe you could work a deal where you only talk one game out of the series. At the end of the series, you just answer all the questions or something. I don't know. I would see if you could do that, but I don't know how all that works. So I have no insight on that. I really like Yadi. I hope he's the next manager, but this deal means nothing right now.
He won't be the next manager because Ollie Marmol will be there for the next 10 years. So don't know what to tell you,
Psych.
TZ. Don't know
Okay.
what to
Psych.
tell you.
And I'll let you go second, and I'll finish this one off.
Wait.
Okay, go
You said
ahead.
you said he'll be here the next 10 years? When's the last time we had a manager here for 15 years?
LaRussa?
I couldn't tell
I
you.
don't even think LaRussa was here 15 years,
He
but
came over in the 90s, didn't he?
mm, I
I
don't
don't
I
know.
know.
thought he
I
came over
think it
in the
was early
90s.
2000s, but maybe late 90s. I'd have to look it up. But anyways, what do you guys think?
1995, so LaRussa was here for over 20 years.
I think he left in 2011, didn't he?
Or, sorry. He was here for 16 years.
Yeah,
Okay. So,
that's a Hall of Fame
Anyway,
manager.
eight.
anyways,
Anyway.
I, I don't know.
uh,
I had my theory last year that maybe Yadi was doing all this because Heim Bloom was maybe going to promote Ollie to some kind of front office role because it's been talked about how Bloom thinks Marmol's a really smart guy and, and all
That
this.
still
But
could be true,
it
you
still
know,
could be, but
because Marmol's contract's up after this year, so maybe next
yeah.
year they sign him to
I
that.
Listen,
And
this isn't. I don't want to go into manager talk because I think it's Ollie Marmol's year and it'll depend on performance. So, but I mean, I don't know. It's nothing special with the Yachty move. It was the same thing he was last year. That's really all I have to say. I don't have much on the topic.
I think the lockout could have to do with a lot about who's manager next year too. Like if they come out of the lockout, like maybe they're like, "Hey, Ali was here and he's here right now. Like let's just give him another year." Whether they want to keep him or not.
I'm interested what Farmhands has to say. He keeps getting close to his mic.
get an extension in spring training.
You think so?
You
Yeah.
say Brendan
I think
Donovan?
him too, but
Oh,
Ollie Marmol will likely get an extension in spring training. It's been rumored for a while now, and I fully expect it to happen. For Yadi, the role seems a little more defined this time. You kind of saw Bloom talk about how he's going to help the young catchers throughout both the major league rosters and the minor league rosters, and kind of maybe do a little bit more roaming than he did in 2025. But I'll be interested. He won't be able to help much in spring training, which is something I thought he would be able to, but he's obviously going to be managing Team Puerto Rico during the WBC. So the training camp starts in mid-February and the WBC ends on, a week before spring training ends. So it's not like he's going to be around in spring training that much, um, unfortunately. But we'll see what happens. I think Yachty being around is good no matter what role it's in. Um, Helping young catchers both at the minor league and major league level is going to be awesome. Hopefully, he helps Ivan Herrera a little bit. Maybe he becomes a better catcher because Yachty's influence. Or
yeah.
but I wouldn't look too much into this as like, oh, he's going to be the manager next year. He's going to be the manager in 3 years or whatever. He's obviously got his aspirations to manage, but we haven't seen any commitment from him in recent years. Even in recent years, as a player, I mean, he went and watched his Puerto Rican basketball team for 2 months. Until he shows that commitment back to being at the ballpark every day, I'm not sure he becomes a manager.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Well, guys, Yadi's in the organization again, but let's move on to something a little more exciting. Something Farmhands and I like a lot. Something
Some,
Farmhands has gotten me into.
something more organizational.
Yay.
Prospect rankings have come out over the last 2 weeks. I'll let Farmham start off with telling us the BA rankings. I can't remember where people were placed. I don't know if you do.
JJ Weatherholt was number 3, and Liam Doyle and Reyno Rodriguez were both in the late 30s. So I think it was like 37 and 39 or something, 36, 39. I don't exactly remember. It was very similar range to where Pipeline had him. And then Joshua Baez was number 54. So they had 4 prospects in the top 54 on Baseball America. And then Pipeline obviously had JJ at number 5. And then they had Liam Doyle at 36,
34.
Rainiel at 34,
Yeah.
and then Rainiel at 37.
I know it
think.
was 41, I think.
No, 37. I know that one off the top of the head. And then Baez was 87, and then they also they stuck in Leonardo Bernal there at the end at 98.
Yeah, they did do that.
5 on Pipeline, 4 on Baseball
37.
America. Keith Law had his today. He only had 3 Cardinals in. He did not have Baez or Bernal, and he had Weatherholt at number 7, which was the lowest of any of the major outlets. And then he obviously had Rainiel and Liam Doyle a little bit higher at 26 and 29. So a little higher on those two, a little lower on JJ Weatherholt. Yeah, so those are the rankings. It's great. I mean, this is the most the Cardinals have had in a top 100 ranking in a while.
Yeah.
So to see this, probably since that 2020, 2021, 2022, when they had like Tink Hens, JJ Weatherholt, Mason Wynn, who
Jordan
else?
Walker, I think, man.
Jordan Walker. Oh yeah, yeah, like that whole group. They were pretty close. I think they had 5 or 6 top 100 guys at that point. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens, but it's great to see the farm system finally getting the recognition it deserves.
Yeah.
I have a
Absolutely.
question for you, and probably for our viewers. They're probably wondering the same thing. Is there a prospect ranking? Like, put your homer side to the side right now. Like, take out the Cardinals part. Whose rankings do you like the most or trust the most? Do you have one?
Hmm. I see some people like MLB Pipeline and some people don't. I like MLB Pipeline.
Yeah,
I
that's what I
think
use.
I think there are some questionable players on the list sometimes. Like obviously it's not going to be perfect. No list is going to be perfect. Um, I mean I've liked MLB Pipeline. I don't have Baseball America, but Farmhands keeps me in the loop with it. So I don't know enough about it, but from what I can tell, like that's also a pretty good resource to look at. So
Yeah, I'll be the first one to tell you that Keith Laws. I don't like Keith Laws. He does weird stuff with his rankings. He had Ike Irish and Seaver King in his top 100 this time, and that was certainly interesting over a guy like Joshua Baez.
yeah,
Keith Laws is probably the guy I look forward to the least. Baseball America and MLB Pipeline both do a really good job with their top 100s. When it comes to top 30 lists, not Baseball America, MLB Pipeline does a much better job with their top 30 list than Baseball America does in my mind. Baseball America tends to look at what the guys are producing right now
yeah,
and doesn't quite seem to be as projectable. I mean, they had a lot of 28-year-olds like Brian Torres and Matt Pushert and these guys that are really close to the majors, on their top 30 list instead of younger guys. So they go about it a little bit differently for sure. It just depends, what you trust more. And if you believe in the projectability stuff more, probably MLB Pipeline. If you're looking for more like what guys are currently producing a lot, you probably should look at Baseball America.
yeah. I would agree. Were you shocked about any of the rankings, Farmhands?
For the
Uh,
Cardinals?
Yeah, let's look at pipeline, right? I say we just look at pipeline since we
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
know pipeline.
Hmm.
Out of all the Cardinals who made it, were there any shockers in there in terms of where they were placed? And was there anybody else you felt like that could have made the list?
Is there anybody I feel besides those five that made the list could make the list? Probably not. I just don't think there was anybody nearly as close. Brandon Clark will be up there next year if he has
Yeah.
the same amount
Or
of.
this year, like he could
Yeah,
sneak in
yeah,
eventually.
The
he could sneak
halfway
in. Yeah.
through the
Um,
season one.
I
Mhm.
felt like Bias was a little low. I felt like, I think Baseball America at 54 had him a little too high.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I
he's
agree.
quite there yet, but 87 felt a little low to me. I think he's in that 60s range,
Okay.
60s or 50s, not 50s, 60s or 70s type of
Yeah.
range. I don't think 87's a little low. I was a little surprised Leonardo Bernal snuck in the end. I kind of thought his back half of the season was, not as good, and they might
Yeah.
knock him off the list, or he might be one of the first ones out. And to see him stay on the list, gives the renewed confidence. That
I
Yeah.
don't see him
they
on
still see stuff in him. He's
He's
at
number
98.
98.
Joshua
Are you
Baez.
you're
No,
not on 2026. I bet you're on 2025.
Leonardo
I
Bernal.
see Bernal at 92.
You're not on the right list. You're on 2025. You got to
Oh, it
switch the
is.
year.
Must have switched. Whoops. I thought
Yeah,
I was
you
earlier.
got to go back to 2026.
Didn't know it switched me back.
Yeah, so Bernal obviously made it because the defensive profile on his profile went up. They really liked it there, which really carried his profile. And then average that with, like standard MLB hitting, like it was at like that 50 mark. It kind of evens it out. So I understand like why he made the list, but he was definitely one of those guys. I know you and I talked about it, Farmhands. Like it was like he's either going to be like right there at the end in the bottom half of the 90s, or he's just not going to make the list, and he snuck on there. So that's nice to see. I was a little shocked, or I guess I shouldn't say shocked. I expected them to place Liam Doyle higher than Rhinel Rodriguez, even though I think Rhinell should be ranked higher than Doyle right now. I don't know if Farmhands feels the same.
You'll see on my top 30 list that he is higher.
Yeah, I probably would have flipped them. Like Rhinell probably should have been in the low 30s, and Doyle should have been like that mid 30s. Um, so I expected it, but still, like it's a little shocking that Rhinell's not number 2 in the org. Um,
Hmm.
Weatherhold at 5, like I think that was all expected. I know Taylor Cruz. Shout out Taylor Cruz. He's awesome. I know he talked about he thought he should have been 4. He liked him better than
Breeze.
DeVries, but 5 is still great. There was nothing else that shocked me. I think, like you said, Brandon Clark, I think could easily make this list if he really figures out this blistering issue, which he just got surgery on. We'll talk about that in a different podcast episode. I think Quinn Matthews can make it again if he really finds his stride again. Um, I think there's just a lot that could go right for the Cardinals, but people also need to recognize that there are hundreds to thousands of other prospects throughout the entire
Yeah.
minor leagues. So there could be guys on the Rockies who show up and just ball out, and they make the top 100 over a Cardinals.
Yeah.
But
Other
I'm
guys I
upset.
would.
I'm upset Quinn's not in it.
it wasn't going to happen. I think you're going to see him. I don't know. What's your guess? What do you
I
think
think he.
he's going to be
I
in the
think he
top
should
30?
switch places with Bernal.
He'll
No.
be. He'll still be like
7.
six,
Yeah.
six. I
Yeah.
still think he'll be ahead of Clark, but I just think Clark's got more potential to rise up the boards. The other guys I'd really watch is the athletic young guys. I mean, I think you look at like
Yeah.
Yairo Padilla. Yairo Padilla, if he has a really good year, really strong year, just considering his age, a guy like Ryan Mitchell, really young, athletic, hasn't played yet. But, being 18, 19, all you really have to do is perform well in the lower minors, and you're pretty much in consideration at that point. So, um, those are kind of the other guys I'm going to look at as like, yeah, they have the mold where they could get on the list really easily if they just perform at the lower levels.
Yeah. Uh, Let me ask you this, Farmhands. Henderson obviously had a great year last year. If he has the same outcome again this year, maybe strikes out more batters at a higher rate than he did. I think he had like two more strikeouts than innings pitched. Let's say he bumps that up by like 15, right? Is he a guy that you think sneaks onto that top 100 list?
Probably not.
You don't think so?
And I just think, considering the age and the stuff, to be a pitcher and be on a top 100 list, you really have to be like 90, 96, 97 with a couple good breaking balls and a lot of projectability. And I think if Eshawn Henderson, is really good next year, it's gonna be because he's crafty and he's still gonna sit low, 92 to 94 miles an hour and just be crafty. And honestly, before he gets on a 100 list, if he's doing really well at AAA, he's probably up in the majors and done with his prospect status by
Yeah.
by the point he would make a list.
Yeah. Really good point. I guess let me ask one more question for both of you. If you had to, obviously Brandon Clark, right? But let's take Brandon Clark's name out of this. Let's take out, you said Ryan Mitchell, Yairo Padilla already. If you could name one person, we talked about this in the space last night, Farmhands. If there was one guy that you think could make the list next year, so not this upcoming season, we're talking next year, who's that guy?
I'll start with TZ. We'll give TZ all the options.
I'll go first, TZ, if you want me to, if you don't have a name yet.
Yeah, go for it.
I think I've been on this guy since we've taken him. I really like him. I enjoy him when he's on the mound. He's working on some pitches this offseason. We've seen it in videos. Farmhands and I are excited about it. Tanner Franklin is my guy. I think there's a chance he could be on the top 100 if the command and control's there still. He's obviously adding a breaking ball if he can really figure out how to throw his changeup at a decent pace. I think he's a guy who could sneak into that top 100 by the time 2027 rolls around.
Can I say our first round pick this year?
Liam Doyle. He's already on.
No,
He's already on.
no, the one.
Oh,
the draft coming
one.
up. Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is kind of a hot. I mean, he's not a Cardinal, but sure. Like,
Not
let's
yet.
just hear it.
Not yet.
Who is this?
Who do you?
Huh?
What's a
I
name?
don't have a name. I'm just saying whoever it is.
Oh,
I haven't even looked into the draft yet.
That's a cheap. That's a cheap answer.
Yeah.
That's no. You got to give us a name, dude. Come on.
Okay, the guy from Hawaii.
Matthew Miura.
Matthew Miura, top 100 prospect going into 2027.
Book it. Place your bets.
Bookmark it.
I don't know. I mean, maybe a guy like Jesus Baez or Fajardo or did you say not Yairo Padilla? You said not him.
See, I like Jesus Baez too, TZ. My only issue with him is the swing decisions along the contact rate. That's and those are two pretty big things for hitters. But I think if he could figure those out, he'd be a really good hitter.
Yeah, just like Jordan Walker.
Yeah, there are just too many question marks with Baez right now. But he's young, isn't he? Like 20, 21?
Just 20.
Like
no, just 20.
So he's really young. He's in high.
That's why I kind of said him. He's young, and I know he's got some problems, but
plus he had surgery like right before the season last year. That was it ankle or he had some kind of surgery. So
the underlying stats are still pretty good too, though.
Yeah,
in terms of quality of contact when he actually makes contact.
Yeah, so I'm interested in him. That's a guy I have in the back of my mind that I'm going to keep watching for sure.
I mean, everybody not in the top 100 at least has one thing they need to fix, So we're trying to predict somebody that would go in. So maybe that's a guy that can at least kind of fix some of that stuff. So
yeah,
maybe him.
What about you, Farmhands?
I don't know. It's hard. The first name that kind of popped in my mind, and it goes against what I literally just said, so I don't want to say it, is Braden Davis. If he figures out the command, I mean, and keeps the strikeouts as high as they were, you would think just based purely on results, he'd be a top 100 guy, even if even if the stuff doesn't look like your typical, upper 90s, top 100 guy, um, I think he could make the list. Um, who else? Daniil Ortiz, if he figures out a little bit of the end zone whiff issues, he's kind of that still young guy already at high A that has a ton of power that could potentially be a top 100 guy, especially if the defense gets a little bit better.
Who is that?
Yes, Daniil Ortiz.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, who else? Nobody in the upper minors really sticks out to me as a guy who could, break a top 100 list.
Blaze Jordan, no?
No, not Blaze Jordan.
He's already kind of too old, isn't he, for it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Especially
I guess
adding another year onto him, like I think he would age out of it.
Chenwei Lin's got the stuff
Yeah.
in terms of the velocity and the two breaking pitches that are pretty decent. That if the command can get figured out, even at his age, he could have a bonkers year and make his way on a list.
Yeah.
So Chenwei Lin would probably be the guy in the upper minors where it's like, yeah, that guy's got all the tools, he's got the size, someone that prospect gurus would just love when I looked at him. So Chenwei Lin's probably the upper minors guy who has the best chance at, having a bonkers season that could make him get on a top 30 or top 100 list even with his age.
For sure.
I know my Matthew Mayura thing was a joke, but like, where do you think he is on the top 30? I think he makes it, right?
No.
No.
You don't think he makes the bottom of it?
No.
No.
Oh my god!
Not even close.
I don't. To answer my question earlier on whose prospect rankings I trust the most, yours is last.
Oh.
Sorry, TC.
Sorry, he might not even be a top 50 prospect in the system.
You don't know ball.
Uh,
Hey, I will say one top 100 that I'm kind of sad about is number 29, Seth Hernandez. I was a big Seth Hernandez guy at the draft.
you know where Keith Law has him? Number 100.
He doesn't know ball either.
No, he doesn't know ball.
I'm definitely going to be comparing his and Doyle's career for the next 10 years at least. So
It's a little bit of
see
an
how
unfair
those go.
comparison considering the age difference, though.
Their first 10 years in the league. There you go.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay. Any more topics?
Oh, I think that's it, boys. I think we've come to the end of today's episode.
Almost
We
the
have
end of
you
all
up to date
season.
now.
Yeah, we have you all up to date, and pitchers and catchers report like it's 3 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks. So we're
I
excited.
got
But
one more thing.
Yeah,
A
go
top
for it.
a top 100 prospect for us next season could be who we trade Donovan for.
He's doing it again.
Yeah, I mean,
What
it
if we
could
don't
be.
trade him?
he might even be in it this year though.
It could be Summerhill and Michael Ferret. You never know.
Oh, I'd love Brendan Summerhill. Don't even get me started on that.
It could be Ryan Sloan and Yorger Bautista or something, or
Dang, Ryan
Durangelo
Sloan.
Cagente.
Dude, Mariners fans are gonna annex you from baseball if you say that.
Sorry, I didn't mean Ryan Sloan. I just meant Cagente and Yorger Bautista. That's what I meant.
I'm not gonna lie, if that was the deal, that would be very underwhelming for me. But anyways, Brendan Donovan's been talked about for months now, and we don't have to keep going about him. Thank you guys for joining today's episode, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you for joining today's episode. If you like what you heard and you're listening to us on Spotify, make sure you follow us there on Spotify. If you want to keep up with when episodes come out, or if you want to keep up with live content, make sure you follow us on Twitter at RedbirdsOnArch.
If you're interested in our personal content, you can follow me, Tyler Gettinger, at Redbird Farmhand. You can follow Tyler Zumwalt, TZ, at Zumwalt_Tyler. Or you can follow Aiden over there at Aiden Gray 8.